Hello, this is Ryan Harding, and I am using Audacity today, just as a cross-platform free and open source software program that you can use on PCs, Macs, Linux, all sorts of systems, completely free. It really well supports all of the open source codecs like FLAC and Ogg Vorbis, and in the future things like Opus that are completely compatible with the Wikimedia Foundation's approach to avoiding patented formats like MP3, where they may be subject to lawsuits from patent trolls and the like. So, and the quality is excellent, and they're supported by most browsers, with the exception of Internet Explorer, but you can get plugins for that as well. And I think Safari is a bit funny as well. But that's Microsoft and Apple for you, isn't it? There we go. Anyway, this is Audacity. This is just a splash screen at the top to let you know how you can get help if you need it. And there's lots of tutorials on YouTube and all sorts to let you know how to do any particular tasks you want to do. Now, the great thing with recording is going to be to record in a nice quiet environment where you can keep down the background noise and hums of air conditioning units and refrigeration units and whatever else you've got running nearby to try and make the sound nice and clear and clean, and not have to try and do any tricky work using special processing tools which really tend to muck up your sound if you get bad noises in them. Another really great way to record is not just to use your computer with Audacity. One thing is to use a directional microphone, a professional microphone or a podcasting microphone. They're great. You can keep down a lot of the noise from different angles, keep it near your mouth, and completely reduce the amount of reverberation from the room and things like that. And of course, smartphones are fantastic these days. All of your Android phones, a lot of the iOS devices, be they phones like iPhones or pads like iPads, a lot of those are fantastic for the same sort of things because they've got a decent quality microphone in there that's designed to have your mouth really close to it for when you're speaking like a telephone, but it's capable of recording at high bit rates, high sampling rates I should say, and decent quality sound capture devices. So you can actually record really quite well, and there's free software for Android like And Recorder, and meaning Android Recorder, simple enough. You can get that on the Google Play Store for free. And on the iOS devices you can get Tascam PCM Recorder, I think it's called, and that's another free one. TASCAM is the name of the company that makes it, and they produce a lot of dedicated hardware devices for podcasters and the like. But really, on your iPhone, this, for a voice project like this is great, and it's basically some device you've got already that's pretty good for recording audio if you don't have the professional microphones that some people will have. You know, some of the people in these projects do podcasts and things all the time, so they can have access to all these devices, and good on them if they do. Anyway, this is Audacity. I'm going to record something very simple in relatively low quality, but it doesn't really matter. You'd be surprised how good it comes out. This is using my laptop's built-in microphones. I will click on the OK button there, and you can see here, here's my device, Microsoft Sound Mapper. That's fine. It all performs quite well at the moment in Windows 7. Integrated microphone array, this is the device I'm going to be using. I could choose other things as an input from the mixer, and you can mix various devices then. And I can plug in other devices. I have sometimes got access to a studio setup which can input from a Bose USB system, and it's, you know, excellent quality 24-bit audio. But this is great for the moment, and it suits what I've got here, convenient to me. And it's currently recording in stereo. You could choose to change it to mono, and it wouldn't make a lot of difference. As we're going to be turning it into Ogg Vorbis, it's got a very efficient stereo model that really won't take much extra bit rate to offer stereo. It won't make much difference to the bit rate you create for the same quality. So I'm just going to record it in stereo and see how it comes out. So I'm going to go up here to the record button. There's an empty project at the moment. You can do file, a new project, or close, or whatever. Anyway, you don't need to make a new project. It comes up with a new project anyway. And you'll notice at the bottom here on the left, there's the project sampling rate, and that's going to be the sampling rate that my sound card is recording at. Most Windows mixers will run at 48,000 Hertz, and that's the professional broadcast audio rate, and it's perfectly fine. It's slightly above CD rate, the same as DAT in the old days. and it's far higher than you require for the maximum level of human hearing. And there are very good tutorials by people like Montgomery from xiph.org, xiph.org, which demonstrate conclusively that it's ample with any half decent digital gear to get way more than the human ear can hear and perfectly reproduce analog sounds in the digital form. So here's the record button. Press this one here and we'll start recording, and then I'll have to say something to the microphone. So I'll press it now and I'll keep speaking, and you notice that there's a sound level meter here, and then I'll say something like, "Hello, my name is Ryan Harding and I'm recording my voice for the Wiki Voice Project." And then I'll press stop, click, and you heard me click probably. That probably made a little clicking noise at the end there. You will find out in just a moment. Now you may have noticed also that I'm recording on a very low resolution screen to make it easier to see the video. So I'll just now enlarge this window, and here you can see the voice levels. It's saying it's recorded to something like minus 11 dB, that's minus 6. Minus 6 is half the amplitude, 0.5, and though 0.25 will be about minus 12, and there's probably a peak somewhere up or down that's just gone above that level. Anyway, what we can now do, very simple thing to do, is we can make it louder so that they're all reasonably consistent in volume, and I'm going to use the amplify effect to make it nice and loud to hear everything. So you can amplify by 10.5 decibels to reach a peak amplitude of 0, or we could set this a little bit lower, maybe minus 1 dB, and that means it's still almost entirely as loud. 1 dB is barely audible, and there we go, it's set that to that level. I can't actually see where the peak goes above that level. I think probably, oh, we've got to go back a little bit through the thing. There's a big loud peak near the beginning, and I can then use this zoom tool to zoom out to the whole project. So there we are, full 13 odd seconds, and we probably want 10 seconds or fewer usually for the Wiki Voice Project. Let's have a listen to what we just recorded. And I'll keep speaking, and you notice that there's a sound level meter here, and then I'll say something like, "Hello, my name is Ryan Harding and I'm recording my voice for the Wiki Voice Project." And then I'll press stop. There we go. So I think it was it here or here? Here. Hello is where I said hello. Let's try that and press play and see what happens. Am I right? "Hello, my name is Ryan Harding and I'm recording my voice for the Wiki Voice Project." So there's the ending point, and let's just drag this along, and I think that's probably where the end was. So let's have a listen to that. "Hello, my name is Ryan Harding and I'm recording my voice for the Wiki Voice Project." You will notice I dragged that cursor with the finger mark comes up to say you can drag from one point to the other, so we can move this end boundary one way or the other. And likewise with this one. And I created the boundary by clicking and dragging is probably what you do on a Mac. You hold down the left mouse button on things with a mouse, like a PC or a Linux box. On a touchpad on a Mac laptop, there's usually a bit more of a trick to it, but it's usually something like push down and then drag across, and you can get it reasonably accurate. And then you can adjust it afterwards just by getting to the edges and get that finger mark, and then you can click and then drag just to adjust it as you wish. And a good practice to do here when you're doing something like this is actually, excuse my alarm, that was my phone creating alarm. Good job it wasn't while I was recording something important. It's a good idea to mute devices like that if you're going to be doing something, a longer recording. You don't want things like Skype coming in as well, or any other phone calls and hangouts and Facebook notifications and emails coming in, all making these bling, various noises like that, that are going to interrupt the audio you're trying to record. Anyway, on the edit menu you will find there's a thing called find zero crossings. What this does, it tends to find places, it adjusts by fractions of a second, microseconds, milliseconds or something like that, and it finds the points where the audio is crossing the digital zero level, and that means that you can do things like loop the audio without any glitches at the beginning and end, and the audio can start without going and popping, because there's a voltage different from zero where it suddenly steps up to that voltage and it creates a sort of an explosion of white noise. So if I hold the shift key down in this thing, this actually goes into repeat mode and you can just listen to it on a loop. So I'll click that now, and you can check that it's clean between one end and the other. Hello, my name is Ryan Harding, and I'm recording my voice for the Wiki Voice Project. Hello, my name is Ryan Harding. Right, that's fine. There was no glitch as it went from this end to this end on the loop. I've paused it now, and then to carry on editing I need to hit stop. So that's what I've done. Now what I need to do now is I can remove all this extraneous audio at the other end. So let's do that. Edit, clip boundaries, and there, clip boundaries, and no, was it remove audio and labels? That's the one. Trim audio, trim it to the selection we've made. If you haven't made the selection or you've removed the selection, you can go back in and create that selection. I've created a selection. I've found the zero crossings with the that feature there on the edit menu, so I can now trim the audio. You can learn these commands like Control T, or on a Mac it's probably Command T, the Mac button. And there we go, it's trimmed it to that length, and it's also moved it from the end, because if you have multiple tracks being recorded, like you might have a drum track, a guitar track and a vocal track, then it wouldn't keep moving them to the beginning of your audio and mistiming them when they're supposed to be timed properly. So we can actually adjust the point, I believe. Can we? Tell you what we can do. The easy way, I'll show you the other tools on here. This is the selection tool, which we use a lot. There's an envelope tool for adjusting the volume, and you can gradually ramp the volume up and down and fade and things like that using that. You won't use the draw tool for much because it's there for fixing tiny glitches where you have some problem like a skipping record or something and you want to draw across smoothing out the error. Zoom tool is what it says it is. It helps you zoom in on the either horizontal axis time or the vertical axis amplitude. And this is the time shift tool. I'm going to show you this now, and this one's a multi-tool that does all sorts of different functions depending on where you go with it. You can find out about all of these on YouTube. There's masses of tutorials for Audacity that tell you all sorts of things. So now the time shift tool, you can just drag this track to a different point in time. And as I drag it to the left, you'll notice it goes yellow at the very end there, and it snaps to 0. Perfect. All at the 0 time point. And there we are. We can now zoom into the whole project, and it's brought it out from 0 to 4 and a bit seconds. And we can have a listen. Hello, my name is Ryan Harding, and I'm recording my voice for the Wiki Voice Project. There we are. That's not something you'd normally say, of course, in the Wiki Voice Project. You wouldn't reference the Wiki Voice Project itself. You just go and tell your name, something a little bit about yourself, maybe 10 seconds of stuff. Helps them to pronounce your name properly, and improves Wikipedia really by providing more content and richer content. Now I might again look at the amplify function just to see if I can make that a little louder. So it says I can amplify by a further 4 dB without clipping. Let's just make it to 1 dB again at peak amplitude level. Oh, minus 1 dB, that's very important. Minus 1 dB. If you go above 0, negative numbers are good, positive numbers are bad. Minus 1 dB keeps you just off the top of the peak there and allows a bit of extra clipping when it's converted into a lossy form like Ogg Vorbis, without actually causing your devices to clip with excessive loudness. So we'll play that again now, and a little bit louder than before. Hello, my name is Ryan Harding, and I'm recording my voice for the Wiki Voice Project. And you can see that the peak levels here just came up to minus 1 dB on the outputs meter. This is the input meter when you're recording the microphone, and that's the output meter there. And you could also see the average levels were somewhere below that, but it's still reasonably loud. And that'll make it a good, comfortable listen. You could do other things in here. If I go back to the selection tool, for example, if you wanted to remove or shorten this silence here, you might decide to select a little bit of this silence, perhaps here to here, and make my voice sound a little less stilted with that gap in the middle. We can just check the 0 crossings so we don't get any glitches. Ta-da! There we are. And then you can either hit the delete key on the keyboard, or you can actually cut to that bit of audio, which I think is there. Cut or delete. I think it's called a delete. There it goes, and it's deleted that piece of audio. And if we now press play, let's see what it sounds like. Hello, my name is Ryan Harding, and I'm recording my voice for the Wiki Voice Project. So you see we lost about half a second of sound there without really making it sound funny. It sounded quite normal, pretty like my normal tone of voice, but if I'd remembered what I was supposed to be saying. There we are. Working from a script is not a bad idea actually, because it can help you to get your voice as good as possible without being too gappy, without ers and ums, and it helps a great deal in making it sound like a professional recording. So we don't have an extraordinary delay at the beginning or at the end, so that's all fine. It all looks just like a good, comfortable bit of audio. The next thing to do, now we've got it in a place we're happy with, is to save it. So the first thing to do, I'd recommend you to save the whole project. We've selected it. Having moved it to 0, it's fine to export the whole thing normally. If we hadn't moved it to the 0 time point, you can have it selected still and just export the selection. There is no selection, so it's no point. Let's export it normally. So here's a Wiki Project demo, and I've already created one earlier. And I'm going to choose FLAC format here from the Save As type. FLAC file is free lossless audio compression. That means it saves the exact audio data in lossless form, but it just compresses it like a zip file compresses things, but creates exactly the same sound out at the other end. Lossless storage is a perfectly great format because it as your main source of audio. It's only a small file because it's only a 4-second clip. And let's check in the options here. We have options. The level of compression makes no difference too much at all. 5 is perfect with FLAC. You hardly gain a percent or a fraction of a percent if you go all the way up to 8, and it takes longer to run on the computer and a bit more processing time to decode at the other end. Leave it at 5, it's perfect. You can choose different bit depths. Because I had a 24-bit sound card in my laptop, it has actually recorded a 24-bit, and then Audacity works with 32-bit floating point, but you really don't need to worry about that at all. 16-bit is way more dynamic range and signal to noise ratio than you get from normal sound, and the room noise is going to be higher than the lowest bit by quite a way. So hit OK. That's chosen the format. Then we need to choose the file name. Actually, I'm going to overwrite my old one. So let's save that. It'll ask, do I really want to overwrite it? Do I really want to replace it? Yes. And I can put my name and everything else in here. So let's put my name here. And track title, Wiki Voice Project Demo. Album title, let's call it the Wiki Voice Project, I suppose. That would then link all these files together. Of course, the track number with the album, you should leave that one out. Don't put the track number in. It can only confuse matters if everyone else is doing their own Wiki Voice Project tracks. The year, I'll put that in 2014. It can only help because I may want to record my voice 5 years down the line when it changes and have former records of my voice then. And the genre, well, this is voice samples, I suppose. Oops. Voice samples. You can do a custom genre. You're probably going to stick it on an iPad anyway. It doesn't really matter. The comments, well, you could say some particular licensing. You could say it's CC by SA or whatever it is. CC by SA US or something. I can't remember all the different formats, but that'll do. It's probably worth looking that one up. I'm just going to put in here recorded from laptop microphone using Audacity. There we go, 2.03 I suppose. Okay, and we'll hit OK here. This is just set the tagging for the file, and that's now saved the file. Then what I will then to do then is save that file onto Wikimedia Commons with the appropriate license as the original, and then as a derived work I would save this version as an Ogg Vorbis file. So Ogg Vorbis is the format there. This is this free thing, and the options here. Normally it recommends in Audacity. I'm using the recommended hydrogen audio version, Aomi's tuned Vorbis, AOTUV, which is particularly good at low bit rates and low quality settings, providing higher quality than the stock version, but the stock version is also very good. And for a voice project, it really makes very little difference. Quality 0 is a very good bit rate for a sort of podcasts and voice projects like this, and it'll be excellent quality at a very modest bit rate. So let's hit OK and choose this file name because I've already created this one, but I want to overwrite it with something better. I want to replace that one, and it'll encode this into the same thing. It's still got the same tags that I just created for this file, for the FLAC version. I could put in here perhaps, encoded to Ogg Vorbis quality 0, Ogg Vorbis Q0.0. There we go. Recorded, it's done it, and it's all in there. So what we could now do perhaps is to move that up to there, and I can load that Ogg Vorbis file on top. Let's see if I can find it. I'm going to go to the start menu and my music folder. I'm doing that on my other screen, and here it comes, and I just need to go to find music / Wiki Voice Project demo. There we go, and there we have it. Two files here. One is 256 kilobytes for the FLAC, which is lossless, so that's probably reduced it from 1,400 kilobits per second of WAV to about 700, or maybe a bit less in FLAC. FLAC's quite good at encoding speech, but it does save every last bit, including all the noise. The Ogg Vorbis is a nice small file, probably around about 64 kilobits per second. I'm not sure if I can find that information through Windows dialog. Details. Windows doesn't really support Ogg very nicely, unless you add loads of shell extensions, which you can do, but I use FooBar 2000 to do that. But for a 4-second file, let's have a look on the calculator. It's about 4 seconds long, so it's 29,000 kilobytes times 8 divided by 4, and it's something like 58,000 kilobits per second. So that's pretty close to what I was aiming for, and it's a very good quality. If we drag it on there, we can hear it ourselves. So clicking back on Audacity, this is the one called Ryan's voice, and then above it is the old version. So if I drag this file up to there, they'll both fit on the screen fairly well. I just need to shrink that one down, and they will sound practically identical. We can solo this track. This is the original. My name is Ryan Harding, and I'm recording my voice for the Wiki Voice Project. I've gone to not 0 seconds, but somewhere further down. If I now solo this one instead and unsolo that one, that mutes that track and only listens to the Ogg Vorbis version. Hello, my name is Ryan Harding, and I'm recording my voice for the Wiki Voice Project. There we are. Sounds great. Identical practically. For voice, you wouldn't hear much difference. If you're recording music and you listen very carefully, you might notice very subtle differences between the 64 kilobit per second or so quick Q0 version and the uncompressed version that was converted into a FLAC up here. So we've now created the file. We can upload it to Wikimedia Commons, and that's the basis of the project. You can look all sorts of things up on YouTube for extra features with Audacity, but it's not too hard to use. We'll close the audio track there and the Ogg Vorbis track, and we can close Audacity. It will then ask, do you want to save the project? Well, the project actually has no music in it left anyway, because I've closed the 2 tracks. So you can just say no, and it'll go back to Windows. And there we have it. There's the file behind there, and I can even play it in FooBar. I'll double click on that and load it up. Is that working? Let's just play it. And you can have your own players that will play it, and of course you can play it in web browsers like Chrome on any platform, and Firefox and Opera. Hello, my name is Ryan Harding, and I'm recording my voice for the Wiki Voice Project. So we played it there on FooBar 2000. I'm running way too much stuff here because I'm recording my screen and everything. Let's see if this will finally respond. No, it's gone to another window. Oh well, so much for that. Let's just stop the recording.